Hello everybody and welcome to this week's episode of Unlocked, the podcast to help inspire success in your business and to help you live the best version of yourself. Hosted by me, Ricky Locke, professional magician, speaker, behavioural trainer and a man with a passion for Greg's Chicken Bakes. Now what does Nelson Mandela, Hugh Jackman and Love Island all have in common? Well, it's this week's guest, Ben Taggart. Ben joins me this week for a very insightful conversation about pivoting your life to fulfill your passion and live your dreams. Ben has worked on some of the most amazing shows in the world, such as The Apprentice, Love Island, and he even got to work with Hugh Jackman. And now he's completely changed the direction of his career, and he now helps startups and small business owners to fulfill their passions and now live their dreams. And you're going to love this episode because it will resonate with a lot of people right now who may even be thinking about pivoting their life or even pivoting their career right now. As always, thank you for your continued support. It really does mean a lot. Don't forget to check out the show notes at the end of the episode where you can find out more about Ben's line of work and how he can help you live your dream too. As always, there is a ton of free resources, which if you do head to the show notes, you can download my free ebook, which is how to create amazing videos with a smartphone, and also my top 10 tips for productivity, which I did mention on last week's episode. So go back to last week's episode and you can find out all of those tips that I shared. But as always, thank you again for your continued support and enjoy this episode with Ben Taggart. Today, we have a really great guest called Ben Taggart. Hi Ben, how are you?
I'm very well, Ricky. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been following your work for a while. We met recently and I've been really looking forward to speaking to you and getting on this podcast.
Oh, thank you, Ben. Yeah, apologies for me. I should have got you on weeks ago, but now we've finally got the time to get you on. Now, for everybody listening, Ben is a business coach for startups and small lifestyle business entrepreneurs. And I think what he's going to talk about today will really add a lot of value to people right now, especially with the current circumstances in the world and more particularly probably the UK. There's probably a lot of people that are probably thinking about either transitioning or pivoting and doing something different. And Ben's story will really help resonate within a lot of people. So Ben, welcome to the show. I'm really looking forward to this. Tell everybody who you are and what do you do?
Okay, well, yeah, it's great that you brought up the circumstance at the moment because of the date of recording this, we are literally today
Yes.
have gone into our second lockdown because of the coronavirus. Yeah, and bizarrely, it kind of is a bit of a celebration for me, this crazy circumstance, as horrific as it's been in terms of losing lives and horrific it's been in terms of businesses. And I've had a lot of issues in terms of financial and in terms of business, which I'll go into. But the one thing that this time did give me was time and time to really sit down and time to really reflect. So I'm a business coach for startup small lifestyle business entrepreneurs. I only started this business a matter of days ago. And this business was born out of a passion which I've had burning inside of me to help. Because as I will evolve into, I've had a couple of businesses, but I've also been a freelancer working in the TV industry for 20 years, up until 6 months ago, I think now. When Corona came in and absolutely kicked our asses. So,
and Ben, I think it's important to tell the listeners what shows that you were on, because you were on some pretty amazing shows. Let's face it.
Yeah, I've done some cool stuff. Listen, I'm very privileged to have worked in the industry. I've met incredible people. Like I've interviewed Nelson Mandela, David Beckham. Spent like a week filming adverts with Hugh Jackman.
Amazing.
Worked on Love Island for many series, The Apprentice, X Factor. Like really cool shows, been all around the world, like the Maldives and here, there and everywhere. Just like, and not obviously, not even not paid for it, been paid to go to these places, which is incredible.
Yeah.
But I have a small child, I have a family, I have another one on the way. I was never in control of my life. And as I've gotten older and got responsibilities, I wanted to be at home. I want to be with my family. So as great as this job is, well, I say was now because it kind of doesn't exist anymore. I never had control. I always wanted to get control of my life and I wasn't sure exactly how to do it. I had ideas. Me and my wife started other businesses. We started a Prosecco van business, which was pretty cool. We had no idea about business. So that was our first entry into entrepreneurship. And my goodness, the lessons we learned through some success and a lot of failures is just phenomenal. We then evolved and created a property business, which is still going. And this is a successful business. This has actually kept us alive through the coronavirus pandemic, because my wife left her job as a lawyer in London to concentrate full-time on property because it was her passion. We understood that property can give you financial freedom. It's an interesting business. For me, I was never passionate about it. What I wanted was to find this freedom. Obviously, when you start bolting businesses on to a job that you already have, you actually end up losing your freedom.
Yeah.
So that brings it back to coronavirus coming in and making me stop, because I couldn't work anymore. There was no filming going on. So I actually had time then to stop and figure out what it was that I wanted to do with my life. And that's when I created the coaching program. Because I have this background now in business, I have a few businesses, one that wasn't so successful, one that is successful. But I've always wanted to, one, control my life. So build a life around what it is that I want to do. Like, I want to wake up, I want to spend some time with my child, I want to go and work out. Then I want to do some education, then I want to actually help some people. Like, all of these things, kind of working out what it was that I want to achieve on a day-to-day basis and create something around that so that I could be passionate about it. And that was where the birth of Live the Dream, and it comes from me trying to live my dream and then helping other people live their dreams. So that's my company, is Live the Dream. And it's me as a coach helping, like I said, startups and small lifestyle business entrepreneurs, because that is what I know, that is where I've been. So I'm not trying to help people that are a step ahead of me. I'm trying to help people that are one or two steps behind me, because I have that knowledge base. I'm not shouting and screaming that I'm some guru. I'm no Alan Sugar, Richard Branson.
Yeah.
But I have knowledge inside me through failures and through successes that I can share. And it's a passion of mine to share these. Yeah. And I've learned a lot of things through myself, through my lack of clarity, through the lack of courage that I had to make some really big, bold steps, like putting myself out on social media, building up a personal brand, which we'll go into, which is massively important, by the way.
Yeah.
So then creating a plan and then finding accountability externally and then internally. And that is kind of the bones of my coaching. And that's what I give to people. And that's what I'm truly passionate about.
I love that. And I really like the phrase that you said about the lack of courage. So where did that come from? And how have you now just found the courage to do that? Like you said, I mean, for many people going through a business and, like you said, feeling a bit unfulfilled and not really feeling about where your passion lies, where did that lack of courage come from, and how have you now found it?
Cool. So lack of courage. I mean, we could go into a serious therapy session here, Ricky. Like, this is deep stuff here. Like, it definitely, when I sit back and reflect on it, it definitely comes from childhood and from the messages that you are given as a child. And listen, my parents are amazing. I had a great lifestyle. I think it's like the diet thing these days, like the food that we used to get as children, as to the food that I give my child now. It's just times evolve.
Yeah.
So, like, I tell my child every day, you're amazing. You can do anything you want in the world. Nothing will hold you back. And I've got a little girl, so I'm like serious girl power now. Like, It's a big thing for me. We now, I think, as a generation, we're all about positivity. We're all about realizing the powerful messages that go into our head of what form our life. Yeah, it's definitely an element of that. It's definitely, I wasn't getting the messages. So therefore, you then, once you get the messages, there's an internal battle going on in your head constantly, every single day. I'm sure you get it, Ricky.
Yeah.
I know you're a great magician. There probably are times still where you think, am I as good as him over there?
Yeah, a bit of the imposter syndrome. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, every day, every single day, I have to battle with myself, and I have to build myself up and create this inner dialogue that I am going to be great. I'm going to be amazing. And it sounds like heebie-jeebie or like preachy or all of this, but you just have to do it. It's all about giving yourself this courage. And if I understood what I needed to do on my first business, the Prosecco Band business, it would definitely have been a bigger success, because it was an amazing product. I just wasn't brave enough to push myself and build a personal brand. And personal brand is such a massively important thing. Absolutely. Now, me as a coach, I'm entering a highly saturated market, and I've gotten clients literally on the first week. And the reason I've gotten clients on the first week is because I've been brave enough to put myself out there on social media, to share my message, to tell people what it is I'm passionate about. And if I'd have just put a brand out there and said, right, I'm launching a coaching business, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty certain I would still be waiting for that phone to ring, because no one knows me. No one cares about me. Like, until you start telling people and you start being brave enough to put yourself out there. Yeah. And it's taking these courageous steps. And I know me and you met on a public speaking course. Now, that is something that I have been so scared of, like, forever. Like, I've never had any experience of speaking in front of anyone. You wasn't actually on my table on the first day, but you were there. So we all had to do a 2-minute speech on the first day. 30 seconds in, I folded, stopped. And I couldn't get a word out. Like, I was just completely paralyzed.
I would not have thought that. I know you're probably going to say this in a second, but I would not have thought that when I eventually got round to your table. Interesting.
It's crazy. I mean, how you evolved on that course was amazing. Like, me and you, we both know, and everyone in that room, it's a special week.
A bit of a belonging, isn't it? And a culture we've created now, haven't we?
With special week, with special people, and you're going through this real emotional transition, and we're all doing something to step out of our comfort zone and be courageous. And it's literally like the bonds that we built after that week and how we felt about ourselves by smashing out at the end of it a 29-minute speech. I mean, you were the star of the show. You were on stage. Absolutely. I was in awe of you, because you absolutely phenomenal public speaking. You've got a great future as a public speaker.
Thank you.
And that's what I'm looking to get. So for me, it was, it's just constantly now looking for the things that scare me and saying, right, does that serve me to push myself into that? Yes, it does, because it'll give me a bit more reach. It'll give me a bit more inner confidence, just all of these things. Right, I have to go and do it now. Don't think about it, go and do it. And then it's just like, I have in my coaching program, it's called the Mountain of Comfort. So it's literally a picture of a mountain. At the bottom is your comfort zone. Then we have the stretch zone. Then we have the panic zone. So we live in our comfort zones all the time. It's because it's comfortable. It does what it says. It's nice and easy. We don't have to think about it. Now, because of COVID, people are starting to either go deeper down into their comfort zone. Or starting to look up at that stretch zone and say, okay, right, now I might need to start actually pulling up a few of these things up here to get me out of the trouble that I'm in. And we should have been doing this throughout all of our life, but now is the time to be literally taking some time, writing down, what are the things that absolutely scare me? And do I need to start actioning them things to push forward and move on?
Yeah, you're right. It's interesting, isn't it, that a forced change, like something like a lockdown, then forces people to then start doing it, where, like you said, we should be doing it all the time. But I think a lot of that fear kind of creeps in, doesn't it? And you think about, we've talked about the imposter syndrome, and, I know I talked about it recently on one of my episodes, which is about not everyone's going to like you. I think a lot of people fear that, like you said, even in your circumstance, I'm going to go create a coaching program. I might put something out there. What if people don't like it? Or what if they think, oh, Ricky, why are you doing that? That's not who you are, and that kind of thing. And then you just start to creep back inwards, don't you? Think, well, I won't do it then. And like you said, until you really go travel through that fear and go through that comfort zone, you'll never know. And the best thing is, though, so what if you do something and it doesn't work straight off, it doesn't launch, it doesn't land, people don't like it. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, the great success there is that you have tried that, and that's the win. You've gone through your comfort zone, and we should be rewarding you for your bravery.
Yeah, I get your point completely, and it's bringing out both sides of it. And listen, I don't want this to be a big sales pitch, but the reason I've become a coach is because it was so important to me to have a coach, and it's for all of these reasons. Because there was a point that you'd said that I don't think got to the crux of, which is like, how do you find that courage now? So it came from those limiting beliefs as a child, but you don't just click your fingers and suddenly, I've got loads of confidence. Like, you will start getting it when you start taking action, but sometimes it's that first little hurdle that you're so petrified that you can't. And my coaching client today, for 3 days now, I've said, because she's got a big book launch that she's doing on Zoom. She's scared about it. She's scared about hosting it. And she's come to me to get her out of this comfort zone. So 2 days I've been waiting for her to do a live, and she's just done a live today. Yesterday, she was messaging me saying, I don't know what to talk about. There's all these roads that I could go down with my book launch. I'm getting confused. And I said, just tell me about your breakfast. Just do it.
Yeah.
Like, and don't save it, just do it.
Yeah.
Like, she needed a coach to just kick her ass a little bit and say, look, don't care what you're talking about. You just have to go and do it.
Yeah.
Because, and then go and do it again tomorrow, and then go and do it again the day after that. And then eventually I'm going to build the courage in her that she's just going to go and do it without me prompting her, because she knows she needs to do it, because she's got a bug of adrenaline, and she's like conquering all of these fears. And you keep getting, like, you start moving up levels, you get a bit more succinct with your messages. You kind of figure out how to, not manipulate's a horrible word, but the messages, the way that you portray your message to people, what works, you know, I mean, there are tactics and there are tricks, and you just become a better version of what you want to achieve, basically, and you find it yourself.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And in that situation as well, when you think about the two parts of the brain, with the logical and the emotional side of the brain, I don't know this person, but whatever they do, and they're probably so skilled in what they do, that logically they know how to do it, but that emotional brain creeps in and says, oh, this might go wrong, or, oh, what if you have dead silence on Zoom and no one asks you anything? It's the same with like X Factor. Now, you'll see these people go out there, like trained professionals for 20 years singing, and they're absolute shaking, going, oh my God, what if this goes wrong? And they're shaking, and then they come out with this massive, powerful opera, voice. Now, logically, they know how to sing. They've learned the skills how to do it. So rationally and logically, they know what to do. They can do that. But emotionally, that chimp talks to them and goes, oh, this could go wrong. What if you mess up? Oh, you're live in front of the nation. Oh dear. And then that takes over. But it's weird, isn't it? Because logically, you know what to do. It's even the same with me. When I go and perform on a stage, I've been performing magic for like 15 years now. I know how to do the tricks. I know how to perform. But you have to balance and have a little fight, don't you, with that inner voice to say, actually, do you know what? I can do this. I will get through this. And it doesn't matter. You know what? Nerves are good. I like this. And it's kind of transferring that energy, isn't it, into a good energy rather than a bad energy of this could go wrong, And
it's funny because then you look at the other side of the coin, like you spoke about earlier, the polar opposites to it are the people that have absolutely no talent as a singer, but will stand up there bold as brass and give it their all, and people will laugh at them. But they should be applauded as well, because it's courageous to go and do something like that. It's like, it takes a lot of balls to stand up in front of people and say, all right, I might not be good, but this is what I want to do.
And this is that self-esteem on the fridge. They've been told constantly all their life that they're brilliant. Their family say, you're brilliant, you should go on X Factor. And then you see the real thing they're not. But like you said, we should be rewarding them for, you know what? Good on you for actually following your dream and passion. Yes, you may not have been the best singer in the world, but the real reward here is that you've conquered a fear. And that's what people need to. We need to reward, I think, failures more often, don't you think?
We do, absolutely. And this is why people are not courageous enough, because they see that flip coin of it. They see the hate on social media, or they see the people getting booed that are putting themselves out there, and they don't want that. And I get it completely. Like, it's a horrible feeling, but you take everything that comes at you is a lesson, be it good or bad. Like, you just got to face it and just do it. And
it reminds
it's a tricky
me
one.
It is, mate. It reminds you of the 90-10 rule about how 10% of life of what happens, we can't control it, but 90% is how we choose to respond to that. And it's exactly the same thing in that circumstance, choosing to respond in a different way, isn't it? And that's how you've certainly decided to say, do you know what? I'm not really happy with what's going on. I don't feel fulfilled or anything. I'm going to do something about it. And then you've done a launch, you've put it out there, and you've got a client, which is amazing. That's absolutely brilliant. And like you said, 4 days of doing that?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I secured the client on the pre-launch, so the business hadn't even launched. And I've got some more calls coming up this week. And like I say, it's all down to personal branding. And like, no one would know who I am, and no one would care who I was if I wasn't putting it out there. And I've had some hate on social media. It's just part and parcel of it. It comes with it. A lot of the times when I first started, I was absolutely scared shitless. Like, I don't want to put myself out on Facebook. Like, I'm going to stumble over my words as I do, not be succinct with my messages. People would judge me on my looks. I'm a Cockney. People are going to think I'm a dodgy car salesman, crooked teeth. Do you know what I mean? It's all of these things. Yeah. And you know what? 9 times out of 10, people don't care. They don't even register what you're doing. They only register what you're doing when you start to get some momentum by doing it over and over again. couple of people start seeing, oh, yeah, I've seen his face. I've seen what he does. I like his messages. I like what he's about. I like the fact that he's a Cockney. I like the fact that he doesn't give a monkeys, you know what I mean? He's just working class. People are going to align with you however you are. If you're very well-spoken, posh, if you're very working class, if you're whatever colour, whatever race, whatever nationality, there's always going to be someone that aligns with you, but they can't align with you unless you put yourself out there. So for me, personal branding, it's all about getting yourself out there. Because people don't know what your story is if you don't do it. So just share it with people. It's doing them a service.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've said it before where I probably piss people off on this podcast with the way I talk, the way, if you see videos of me, I'm very much animated, you know, so that could throw people off. But I think you're absolutely right. Just go out there and do it, because it is kind of a JFDI moment, isn't it? Because until you start doing it, you'll never really know if it was a success or not. And like you said, if you hadn't have just gone out there, you know, the fear of stumbling your words or the message not come out, you have to show up, don't you? You know, just show up and get it out there, and people will be attracted to it at some point. You know, you might not be attracting everyone, but those one, even if it's just one person, that's a success. You know, for me, the biggest thing for me releasing this podcast was that if I just got one listener that someone found some piece of value from, that's the win. That's the win for me. It doesn't matter if no one else likes it. If one person takes something away from it, then that's the win. And then you can build from that. But I think sometimes we just have to go out there, don't we? To go put it out there, show up, and not be worried, you know, like yourself. You know, you've gone out there. I think this is a really great question to think about now with a lot of listeners who are small business owners. They are probably going through a transition right now where they're thinking, okay, my business may not be viable, or they might be in a job where they're, you know, they're no longer employed anymore because of the circumstances. They could be made redundant. A lot of people out there might be transitioning to create a business. What would you say to people then who might be thinking, yeah, you know what, I'm not fulfilled in my job. I really want to go follow my dreams like you have, Ben. What would you say to them right now? The simplest thing to do right now is to go out there. What would you say it would be?
Okay, so for me, and this is what I do with my clients, go down this journey, and it's kind of a journey of discovery for me about my client, but a journey for them to discover what it is that they actually want. So I have a really in-depth 3-stage goal planning program where we look at what it is that you actually want to achieve in life. So the courses and the seminars and the gurus and all the people that I've been influenced by over the years, have always told me to write a list of things like fancy cars, £1 million houses, property portfolios, holidays in the Maldives, a private plane with my face painted on the side of it. So I've written all these things down and put deadlines by them, like just add a little bit of extra pressure on it. You know what I mean? Just so you feel a little bit of a failure when you haven't achieved these crazy goals by this date. And all it does is just builds you with anxiety. Yeah. And then you look at it and you think, well, what the fuck do I want any of these things anyway? Like, what, like, what's it going to do with my life? And even if I do want them, and I've got no problem. I do want nice, pretty things. And I've got no issue with material things. But making sure that your life aligns with what it is that you're writing down on that list. So if you want all of these crazy expensive cars and houses, you're going to have to work like a dog to get them. There's no cheat in the system. Yeah. You're going to have to graft it. So if what your values are, what you really do want to achieve and feel from life, and the lifestyles that you want to build. So for me, it's, I want to be in control of my life. I want to say, tomorrow, I'm going to the gym when I want to go to the gym. I'm going to spend time with my family when I want to spend time with my family. I'm going to coach my clients when I want to coach my clients, like obviously when they can do it as well. I'm going to do some education when I want to do some education. I'm going to come and speak to Ricky on his amazing podcast when I want to speak to Ricky on his podcast. Yeah. So I built that life. I'm building that lifestyle through the feelings that I want. So I wanted to be in control. I wanted to build a lifestyle around my family. I wanted that feeling, that buzz that you get from helping someone, like my client going live today. I felt amazing. I felt great because you could see that she stepped out of her comfort zone. So it's these emotions that you want to feel from life. Then you start writing out what are the lifestyles that you want to create from a financial perspective, from a personal perspective, from a business perspective. And then from both of those, making sure they align, that's then when you go, okay, so being a property developer fits in with this or doesn't fit in with this.
Yeah.
Trying to open up a chain of shops fits in with this or doesn't fit in with this, because you should have a pretty good idea that to do one of these businesses, like the amount of time restraints, the amount of financial restraints that's going to go into building something like that.
Yeah.
Like, and you just got to make sure it all aligns, because that's what we wasn't doing before. We was like, I was going, I want to create this lifestyle where I'm in control, but I've got this freelance job over here that pays the bills, that at a drop of a hat, I have to go and disappear anywhere around the world for like crazy hours and not see my family, plus start a business on the side here so that my wife isn't getting any support from me while I'm off over here. She has to do it all herself.
You're partying in Love Island while she's at home with the baby. Yeah.
I mean, I was, when she was pregnant, I was in Love Island for 8 weeks. When the baby was here, I was in Love Island for 8 weeks. And then the second year I went to Love Island again. Third year I went to Love Island again. And I was like, I don't want to be here. The whole time I did not want to be there. I was like, I want to be at home seeing my child grow up.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a pivotal moment of me changing. But yeah, it's really spending some time, and you've got to spend time. It's so easy to just go through life, just like rushing. And that is why Corona was a blessing for me in one respect. And it wasn't in a lot of respects, but gave me that time to really think what it is that I want to achieve. What is it I want to feel from life? What are the lifestyles that I want to create? Therefore, what is the business that I want to create? So that is the key thing. And then once you've figured that out, it's figuring out what are the courageous steps that you need to take. So for me, one of the biggest things for any business, and I'm trying to say this to my client at the moment because she's an artist, she's she's written a beautiful children's book, like an absolutely stunning children's book. But she gets hung up in the whole personal branding and sales element. Listen, anytime you do anything and talk to anybody, you're selling your idea, you're selling your thought, you're selling your product, whatever it is, you're selling something to someone. So being a personal brand is so important, and it can be really scary for people. It can really freak them out, but definitely. People will not buy from you unless they know you. People buy from people because they like and trust people. And that goes from coaching, that goes from a product like a book, that goes from anything, being a property developer, any of these businesses, the singing dentist, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that guy's smashing it because he put himself out there on social media. He gave himself a personality in a business where personality is
boring, isn't it? Yeah, the dentist.
Yeah, it's like
it's out there, by the way, I should say.
No, I bet he's the richest dentist out there now. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, it's getting clarity on what it is that you want to do, what you really want to achieve, because that is where you're going to be passionate. That's where you're going to wake up every day and say, "This is what I want to do. I'm going to do it."
Yeah,
with a smile on your face and with vigor.
Yeah.
And then it's being brave and bold enough to build up a personal brand, because it is massively key to all of this.
Yeah, definitely agree. It reminds me, for listeners of the podcast will know that I love a good quote, and I'm thinking of Darren Hardy when he talks about, if you want things to change, you have to change. So you have to think about yourself and that personal brand. There's an exercise we did many, many years ago when I was training, which was about what is your own brand. And Jeff Bezos always says that your brand is what others say about you when you're not in the room. And a great exercise that anyone can do is to write down 3 words of what you think your brand is, but then ask colleagues, friends, probably you could do family as well, but you might want to reach out to the people that maybe a customer, or even people that you're not really keen on the feedback, but do it because they'll give you the honest feedback. But what you can then do is work out if your brand is actually being portrayed right. So for example, in my case, if I wrote 3 words, Ben, that said, my personal brand is aggressive, a terror, a horrible man. And then you said, oh, Ricky, I think your brand is that you're a nice guy. You're quite magical. You're quite fun. I'd be sitting there going, oh, right. So what I'm portraying about myself is completely wrong to what people think about me. Now I can change then to meet that. And also another tip you can do as well is think about, like yourself there, Ben, if you want to be something in the future, like, I don't know, let's say that someone wants to be a coach like yourself, Ben, and write down the 3 words of what you think that coach, their behavior or their brand should be, and then work out what your brand is now and think, are you living that right now? And if not, you can work towards it. If you are, and it's matching it, then perfectly, you're on the right track. But if those 3 words don't match the ones that you're going after, then you can do something about it. So in my instance, let's say, Ben, I want to be a coach. Let's just say for strange reasons that a coach's mentality needs to be, driven, let's say supportive, and let's say engaging, right? Now, let's say, just as a wild one here, that my brand is lazy, miserable, and unsupportive. You've got a clear, differentiation there that, oh crap, then I'm not really living what I want to be. But now I can make that change to start working towards the behaviors of what's required for that role. So
there's a few things there. And it goes with the brand as well. And it is honesty. Yeah. Obviously, if you want to create a coaching business, be a coach, and you are these three elements that you're saying, like the lazy, the uninspiring, the unhelpful, it may not be the right path for you. Yeah. But you may, therefore be able to change that and realise these are my thoughts. I want to achieve this, so I'm going to change my life. I really implore people not to do is don't bullshit. Like, do not lie. Do not pretend that you're something that you're not, because you will get caught out and you won't be a success at doing what you're doing. Like, just tell people the truth. Like I said to my first client, you're my first client. I haven't even started the business yet. But she's working with me because she's seen what I'm about. She's seen the messages that I'm delivering. She's seen that I'm being authentic and I'm documenting the journey that I'm going down. So she's like, well, that's right. I can see, I've seen you. I trust you. I know you already. She doesn't know me, but I'm putting myself out there, and you can't bullshit it for too long. Like, it just won't work. Like,
well, you said it from the start, mate, didn't you? You said, I'm not a coach that's been going around for 30, 40 years. I'm a coach that's for 3 days. And that's authenticity, isn't it? You're telling people, look, I've been there. I've been through what you've been through. I've just started this business, so let me help you. And if anything, that conveys trust, because Ben's not saying that he's this multimillionaire with a plane with his face on it. He is this person that is, hey, authenticity. And you're absolutely right. If you want to create something, you really have to be authentic, don't you? Because that's how people know, trust, and then want to buy from you in the future,
Yeah, there's a lot of charlatans out there. It's easy to go and hire a very expensive car and take a lot of pictures with this. It's an unregulated market, so it's tricky. Yeah. So that's going to be with a lot of industries out there. So this, again, harping back to this personal brand, is why it's so important, because there's just all these markets are so saturated. You need to really stand out, but you need to be authentic to yourself, because you need to love yourself as one, but two, you just can't be pulling the wool over people's eyes. You're going to get caught out, and it's going to come tumbling down when people find out that you are a charlatan and you're making stuff up just to make yourself stuff. This whole, what's the saying, is fake it till you make it. I don't buy into it at all. Like, believe it until you be it. Yeah. Like, in your head, have this internal, listen, I see myself, Ricky, every day on stages in front of thousands and thousands of people sharing my message. Yeah. Like, having massive podcasts and helping thousands of people. I see it for myself. Yeah. Because you have to believe it, because you're never going to achieve it unless you believe it. Yeah. And if you don't believe it right now, then borrow it from someone. Borrow that belief from someone, and you'll get it yourself. Like, from going through the motions and taking the action. But don't fake it till you make it. Don't start telling people you're something you're not. It's just, it's not a good look. Absolutely. Definitely agree. Well, look, Ben, I think that it'd be really great if people want to kind of find out more from you. What are you offering right now? In terms of, if people want to hear more about you and your brand, and probably even come up to you for some support for even starting a new small business or a new venture, where can they find you? How can they get in touch, and what can you do? Yeah, so perfect. So find me on Facebook, Ben Taggart. Find me on Instagram, Ben Taggart Coach. I am on LinkedIn. I'm not active enough. Listen, Ricky, I've got a lot of work to do. I'm just starting out. If you find me now, I'm at early stage. Like, I'm going to be building YouTube channels, podcasts. I'm going to be taking over the world. Good. But at the moment, so I've got a one-to-one coaching business that's just set up, Live the Dream. Hopefully in the show notes, we can chuck a link on there. Where at the moment I'm offering one-to-one 20-minute calls, basically just to have a chat and see if there's any way I can help you. I'm also looking at creating some secondary and third products, some small end products, just some like, I don't know, 2-3 week product where me and you can kind of work through gaining the clarity, start figuring out the steps to take some real courageous action to build up a personal brand and get like a business plan together. So some smaller end products, I'm also in the pipeline, something based around an accountability group I want to start. So listen, this is early stage. I'm going to be creating a lot of products. But yeah, just find me on social. I'm there, I'm active, I'm telling people my story, and I'm being me, the Cockney wide boy coach who says it as it is.
Yeah, and the videos are really great. So even though I've known Ben for a period now, probably about 2 months now, he's been showing up every single week and probably every other day actually. And there's videos of him talking, and it's really great value as well. So for anyone listening, go check out his work. There will be some links in the show notes as well. And Ben, any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
Listen, Ricky, it's a pleasure meeting you. It's a pleasure being on this podcast. Just people, just now take the time. It's a really, really tricky, horrible time for a lot of people at the moment. But there's always a positive with every negative. Now could be that moment where you can sit down, think about what it is you want to achieve with your life. Think about the steps that you can take to start moving that forward. And it might just be small steps, just getting out there on social media, doing a live, putting yourself a bit of branding, telling people your story, telling people a bit about you, just starting to build a brand, starting to build up an idea of what you might want to do. Or now we've got loads of time, just go full on in, jump in and absolutely saturate the market with your face and your story. Either way, just do something, don't retreat, start moving forward.
I love that. Brilliant. Well, Ben, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Yeah, good luck with the coaching business. I look forward to seeing you on those stages and for the future. It looks like a bright future, mate. So good luck and thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Ricky. Keep doing what you're doing.
Wow, thank you so much, Ben, for joining me this week for that insightful conversation about pivoting your life. I wish you every ounce of success and good luck and best wishes for the future. I think you have a bright future ahead of you. For everybody listening, don't forget to check out the show notes. You can find out more about Ben's line of work and also, as always, my free resources to help you create success in your business. Just go straight to the show notes and you can find the links to find out more about Ben and my resources too. As always, thank you for your continued support. And if you love this episode, then please feel free to go to Apple Podcasts and leave a lovely little review and let us know what you think of the episode. And also, share this podcast with your friends. Let them know if this has added any value to your life and tell them where to find the podcast. As always, thank you, as always, and I hope you have a fantastic day or night wherever you are, and I will join you on the next episode of Unlocked. Bye-bye.